like none other. But one of the interesting things that has happened, excuse me, sorry about that. He kicked me, by the way. is the UFO agenda and the alien agenda and contact has been brought up by two presidents, a Secretary of State that is now running for office, on 3 different television shows, has been brought up to a newspaper directly in Connecticut, and we have Podesta with his recent tweets and his sadness of the position that he has put himself in, and he's made that very public. This is in the last 365 days. This has never happened before in the history of this, because certainly recent modern history, since 1947, we've never seen anything like this. True. What is going on with Washington and the alien agenda? There's something going on. They don't have to ever bring any of this up. Ever.
I will. I'll just jump in. I'll do it quickly because other people have things to say. So I think, in a general sense, they are responding to the transformation of our culture through the web. 25 years ago, we didn't have a web. 25 years ago, we didn't have the ability to have this kind of alternate conversation. Now we do. UFO phenomenon is very widely discussed among the people. It's been repressed by the elites, but the people talk about it because the people have experiences. And so what we've done is we're creating this upswell coming up from below. And it has so happened that includes a lot of good research. People like Grant Cameron and activists like Stephen Bassett have been instrumental in promoting this issue. And I do think it has gotten just enough attention that it's now being discussed, probably really to be disabled. If you listen to what Bill Clinton and Barack Obama said, and even Hillary, it's really disables the topic more than anything else. It doesn't shed any light. They make jokes.
I think the best thing Stephen Greer ever said was, it's not about the government disclosing, it's about leaving them behind. Mm-hmm. That's what I think about it. But I wanted to finish the Corey Goode brief thing. I never really listened to him until recently, but I just did a panel with Laura Eisenhower, who's doing a movie with him. She's done shows with him. She's had to do a lot with him. And when she did the panel, she said things I didn't know, and I don't know if you guys know, but he was a MyLab kid. He was in Montauk. So anybody that has that much torture and control is probably not going to grow up to be a very well person. And the other thing I want to say, and I'm sorry to say it straight out, is he and David have a major show that's extremely successful. But for me, the reason I never listened was, look who they're working for. And I apologize, but they're the same people hiding my movies from the world, and I know why they're doing it, and it's not okay. They're flooding the market with stuff that is distracting and disinformation, and I don't know if Corey and David are that. I'm just saying that Laura told me that he had a very rough bunch of experiences, and I don't think you grow up out of that as a very well person. So that's all I heard, but for me, I avoided them because I don't believe in who they're working for is bringing us the best. So that's where I'm at.
Go ahead, Brad.
I didn't really know much about Corey Goode until Contact in the Desert. And like Richard said, either he is the most incredible pathological liar who can spin the most incredible yarn and have his own TV show, or maybe what he's saying could be true. And if it is, it's mind-blowing revelation. And that begs the question, how come he hasn't received a bullet in his forehead? Why
because
are they
that would make the story true.
Well, maybe so, but they'd shut him up as they have other people in the past. Maybe there's a soft disclosure going on. Maybe they're allowing him to say these things. Well, you know how if you watch someone on TV, you can't really get a feel for that person, but when you're sitting right across the table from them, you can read their emotions. Well, I had that opportunity. The last hour I was at Contact in the Desert, Linda Moulton Howe was interviewing Corey Goode, and I was sitting as close as I am to Richard right now, and I studied his emotions, and I'm pretty good at this. And at one point, Linda asked him a very provocative question. I should maybe talk about that offline if anybody wants to know. He visibly started shaking.
Yes, I've seen the same thing. Not to get into personal stuff, but at Contact, we had a private party. Richard was there, David was there, Corey was there, and a few other people in this room. These two right here were there.
Hello.
And Brett was there. Sorry, Brett. And they were very open and as normal can be, you know. And that's why I just say, why just throw it all away? So okay, let's move on. I want to stay on this election year thing before we go. Why is ET being discussed this last 365 days by Washington? Brett.
I think Richard's right on. I think for them to maintain control, they have to follow the trends to a certain degree to make it look like that this is how it's really moving. So they glom onto a trend and then steer the trend.
Do you think it's for the vote?
Yes.
You think it's for the vote? Are we that powerful of a lobby right now?
We're becoming that powerful, and when you're choosing somebody, the electability, when you're actually looking at them, and if you have, and the percentages of people that are actually believing or know about UFO, wouldn't you want something of a kindred spirit that would say, okay, if you're, say for instance, you're going with the Donald or Hillary, well, even though they're the lesser of all evils, you would be thinking, oh, gee, Hillary, at least Hillary believes in ET, at least. And so that might be the little feather that tips the difference between the psychopath. Excuse me. It's a political tool.
Yeah, that's an
But
interesting
also,
point.
don't forget that the consciousness of the human race has really been escalating of late. We are growing and we're learning, and they can no longer turn their backs on that. We're just too smart now. They have to address it.
Excuse me, what's your name? Ethan wants to know, everybody say hi to Ethan.
Hi, Ethan.
Ethan wants to know if an alien can transform into a human. Who wants to take that?
Shapeshifters are real.
Shape-shifting is a fact.
Yeah.
So you guys,
That's not a transformation. That's simply an illusion, a temporary illusion. That's all it is.
that's is that, should that be scary? Should we be scared of that?
I don't think so.
Part of our reality. We need to wake up to it all.
Brent, I think you are an alien. I think you're shape-shifting. You're shifty in general, and then we just put shape in front of it.
I have a quick story.
Shake and bake.
Just called you a hybrid. Go ahead,
Definitely high.
When I had my dear friend Barbara Lamb, I've been in more than 100 crop circles. Barbara Lamb's been in more than 2,000 crop circles. That lady's affected. And when I very first met her, she's a human-looking person, darling. I walked up to her and I said, "Hi, I'm Patty Greer. I'm a crappie too." And we hugged. And then I looked at her and I said, "How are you doing that?" She said, "Doing what?" And I said, "What are those bright green orbs in your bottom lids?"
Yes.
And she looked at me and she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "No, seriously, are those lenses? What do you have there?" She had no idea what I was talking about. And I think she was somewhere between.
That's a trippy thing to say about her. Okay.
Everybody loves Barbara.
Is Javier here? Is it possible? Should we do a little overtime?
Yes.
Are you guys into this? Because it's 9 o'clock. So is it okay with the panelists if we do another 5-10 minutes?
Sure. We got a late start.
What's that?
We did.
You have an example of an alien turning into a human? Really? Where is it? What's that? Martian Manhunter? Will you talk to me after this tonight? I want to know what that is. Okay?
A future guest.
Yes.
I think it's so cool we have a kid in the crowd who's following this whole panel.
Absolutely.
I've been watching you like you are not missing anything, are you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What's your name?
Good job, Mom.
Oh yeah, Jim. So Jim, this is something that we should have gone into deeper detail earlier when we touched upon this. But when we talk about the Nazi influence in the United States, we can't ignore Operation Paperclip. And the influence that was directly here, direct and nearly unfiltered, and allowed to do exactly what, and in the end, could have actually corrupted our own space program too as well,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And those same scientists were divided, that same group was cut in half and went to Russia too as well. And those guys were communicating with each other. And it's kind of weird how Russia got there first, but we had, right? We had the technology, we had the best scientists, and we couldn't do it.
Von Braun was the head of NASA for 10 years.
Well, there's that, but I would have thought that we would have got a satellite up there first, right? And we didn't, and so forth. But was that a concern? Do you think that is a concern? We have the possibility of ET technology with the Nazis. There's a possibility there. We certainly had atomic knowledge, right? And of course, rocket knowledge, and that is here to this day. The Nazi influence. When we say Nazi and Third Reich, it's not a thing, it's an ideology that was allowed to come into the United States. Did it influence us?
And many of those men were thieves, murderers, torturers, and many of them went right into the CIA.
Yeah, well,
What?
yeah, the influence that occurred was actually, and we're really living under a fascist form of government, which is what they were, even above their, that's what they were. So yeah, their influence.
It couldn't have gone away. It just doesn't disappear,
No.
right? Richard keeps nodding his head. Do you agree with that, Richard?
Yeah, America swallowed the poison pill after World War II. Paperclip was a covert operation after the war ended to import Nazi scientists and intelligence experts. They brought in the entire intelligence operation of Hitler, led by Reinhard Gehlen, which was
Right, exactly.
studying the Soviets. They were experts on the Russians. They brought them in. Alan Dulles did that himself. They brought it, and then the scientists were the real prize. And the fact that these guys were unrepentant Nazis was not as important to those people as the fact that they had advanced scientific knowledge.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly we got amnesia, right?
So, Jim Marrs wrote this in his classic book, The Fourth Reich. It's a great study of it, and when you swallow that much poison, it affects you, and I think that absolutely affected the United States.
Especially with someone like Alan Dulles in charge of the CIA.
Exactly.
All right, now I'm going to end on an up note. Let's have some fun, really quick. I'm going to start with Chad. Chad, flying saucer lands in your front yard. ET pops out. You go out and you say, "What's up?" And he says, "You want to come with us and go for a ride?" Do you go?
I go.
You go?
I go in.
Would you go? Would you go and come back, or would you go and stay?
I had the choice before, and I came back. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
So you would stay. Brett, ET lands in your front yard. Do you go for a ride?
Curiosity, I think, would overwhelm any intrepidation or any fear.
You would go. Would